Commissioner O'Donnell, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. This meeting is called to order. For the record, the time is now 9:31 a.m. Today's date is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. The Commission and the staff are appearing from Helena, Montana in the Bollinger Room here at the Montana Public Service Commission. I'm James Brown, the presiding officer of this meeting. Would my colleagues join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, colleagues. For the record, I would note that the following commissioners are present in the Bollinger Room. Commissioner Benochi, myself, Vice President Fielder, Commissioner Bukacek, and Commissioner O'Donnell is participating online. Therefore, we do have quorum. All right. Announcements. We do not have any changes to the agenda this morning, so we will roll right into our action items. Action item number 1 is approval of the commission minutes for the week of October 14th, 2024. Is there a motion, Vice President Fielder?
Mr. President, I move adoption of the commission minutes for the week of October 14th, 2024.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
We have motion and second. Discussion, changes, revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor of Vice President Fielder's motion to adopt the draft minutes for the week of October 14, 2024 as the final version of the minutes, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, minutes are adopted. All right, the Montana Public Service Commission welcomes public comment on any matter that is on today's agenda or on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the Montana PSC. Are there any public commenters in the room? Any public commenters in the room? Seeing none. We do have public commenter online, I understand. Mr. Darren Miskey, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, go ahead and state and spell your name for the record.
It's Darren Miskey, D-A-R-I-N-M-I-S-K-E, and I am the chairman of Webull County Commissioner's Office.
Very good. Well, welcome. Go ahead and make your remarks.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your work that you guys have been doing against CenturyLink. Another concern has been raised after we've been going round and round with CenturyLink. We have a family that's been without service since
July 22nd.
July 22nd, excuse me. Numerous times she's reached out to them, over 20 times, to get the automated teller, to get service, to get help, to nothing's ever happened. And I'm very tired of this, and I know you guys have been fighting a good fight against them, trying to get them to come play ball in Webull County to fix their antiquated service lines here that are so old they do not have parts to fix these lines anymore. So our constituents, a fair number of them are still on CenturyLink, still not getting the service they are paying for. She has been paying all this time for no service. This has happened over and over and over again in Webull County. And I think, if I remember right, you guys granted them some money to fix these type of problems, and I don't know what they did with the money, and I think you guys should really raise awareness and ask what they did with their money, because they sure didn't put it in Webull County. So moving forward, I would love for their funds to be stripped away, or whatever you guys could do to get them the heck out of Webull County, and not grant them any more money, at least for Webull County. I can't speak for what's going on in other places in other counties, but here in Webull, they do not take care of us, never have for years. And we just don't want them to receive one more dollar if they're not gonna do a better job, which they've proven over and over and over that they do not want to take care of us here. So here we have a family that's been without service since July, a fairly large family that has some kids that still kind of come in and go, and they ranch and farm there. And so with no public service or public line to receive or to get a fire called in, they have to drive 2-3 miles to find the nearest hill to find a cell service to get maybe a fire or an ambulance. And I just feel that's totally unacceptable in this day and age. So please do what you can to help these people out and others like them. It's still going on in Montana apparently, which it's, like I said, this day and age it's uncalled for. It really is. They know their line is ancient. They can't find parts. They got money to fix this and they don't. So I'm more than angry at CenturyLink right now, the way they've treated Webo people and our constituents that pay monthly bills here. And I guess I will thank you for your time. Would love to hear what you guys have to say when you guys reach this meeting item, when you talk about CenturyLink again, and I will turn the floor over. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, I'll turn the floor over to Heidi Schaefer, and she is the one that's been impacted by this go around of CenturyLink.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Miskey. Ms. Schaefer, would you like to state and spell your name for the record and provide your remarks, please?
And yes, Heidi Schaefer, HeidiSchiefer.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So my husband and I, we ranched about 20 miles north of Webo. We're not unfamiliar to having problems with our CenturyLink service. It happens fairly frequently. And generally when I report the outage, it takes a week or two to get scheduled for a technician. Over the past year, it always gets delayed farther. They generally will notify me that the technician won't be out there on the day they're given, or they might not. They might just not show up. So given that we need to be there when the technician is there, that's very frustrating. Our service went out on July 22nd, and we have had that happen. And a day or two later, it comes back on its own. So I waited until I think the 25th. I gave it about 3 days, and then I reported it. They were to come out. I was able to get a time for repair on the 29th of July. That day, we got notice that it would not be until August 1st. On August 1st, no one showed up. I got no messages from CenturyLink. My husband waited for them. No one came. I did not get another contact from them of any type until September 13th. In the meantime, I was attempting to call, but it's very frustrating because everything's automated, and all I could get from them was an automated response that there was a problem in a main line, and we would be notified when they were able to repair it. And then basically it would click off on me. I wasn't able to figure out for quite a while how to try to get further past that automated response. I was able to, at one point, I want to say it was about August 20th, I did manage to get someone on the phone, because at that point I'm paying for service that I don't have, and was able to speak with someone, spent probably close to a half an hour on the phone, and they did agree to credit my account up through a couple days later. And because they said our service would be back on by that date, and it wasn't. But when I got my bill, the next bill, they had credited, my normal bill is around $80. They had credited $32. So I'm not sure how that really impacted my total bill. But on September 13th, I started getting numerous notifications about the delay for our service coming back on. And I was getting notices that on August 10th, it would resume, on August 17th. I mean, so I got about 10 messages where the time had already lapsed. In total, I've had 23 delays, notifications of delays. Right now, I think our service is set for like October 31st or something to be back on, but every time that happens, that the day of the service, the day before it's supposed to come back on, I get another message. My big concern is that we have 2 homes on our property that have CenturyLink. Neither one are working. I have my husband and I live in our main ranch location, and a daughter and her son live in another. We also have another home on the place where another child lives. CenturyLink does not go to that house, however, but so my concern is that, for one, that this is our business phone. So for 3 months, when people tried to access us, all they get is a ringing, they get it ringing, and it doesn't ring at our house. We have no dial tone, so we can't call out either. The other thing is, my husband is a lot of times out there by himself. My phone, I can pick up and call my cell phone through Wi-Fi if I'm in the house. His phone, because he has a flip phone, he's a little dated, he can't access that. So if anything happens out there, if he gets hurt and I'm not around with my phone, he has to drive about 2.5 miles to get on the highest hill where he then can get service. So, in any emergency situation, we have a granddaughter out there. We have an easement on our property, so hunters, especially right now, there's a lot of hunters out there. There's just, I fear for someone being hurt, and we can't access 911 unless, we have to travel to do it. So I've been very frustrated with the service. I've been, not only the fact that we don't have a landline, but also in my interactions with CenturyLink. Again, I've tried calling, I've tried the online chats, which was not successful at all. And so I guess probably over the past month, I've kind of given up on them. So I have not tried lately, but I've put plenty of phone calls into them, as well as my sister-in-law's also calling. We've been trying to at least speak with someone, and that's been extremely difficult. We aren't set probably to have the option to transfer over to RTC till sometime next year. So I feel like possibly they might be waiting out, thinking that we will discontinue our service, but we can't do that because RTC advises not to. Otherwise, we lose our phone number, basically. So again, I just appreciate that you take this into consideration in all your dealings. And if you have any questions for me, I think I kind of gave you a rundown so far what's happened for us.
Well, thank you, Ms. Schiffer. We appreciate the time that you've taken this morning to provide public comment. Any other public commenters online? Any other public commenters online? Seeing none?
I would also like to just thank you guys on your MDU determination last week. Weebo County is affected by that as well, so thank you very much for your diligent work on that. Sorry to throw that out there, but I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your remarks, Commissioner. Any other public commenters in the room? Seeing none? Thank you for the time took to provide public comment this morning. Let's roll right into our work session items, which is one this morning. That is docket 2024.04.041 Speed Dumpster LLC. We're considering the application for Class D motor carrier certificate. Specifically, we're here to act on dismissing speed dumpsters application without prejudice. Good morning.
Good morning, President Brown and Commissioners. My name is Amanda Webster. I'm a staff attorney with the Department of Public Service Regulation. As President Brown stated, before you for your consideration is staff's recommended order dismissing Speed Dumpster LLC's application for Class D motor carrier certificate without prejudice, meaning that Speed Dumpster may come back and file an application again at a later date. Staff's recommendation is primarily based on Speed Dumpster's failure to comply with multiple commission orders, including failure to comply with standard discovery procedures in the procedural order, failure to fully respond to data requests as compelled by Order 7945C, and failure to file a notice of appearance of counsel as directed by Order 7945D. To provide some background on this matter, Speed Dumpster's application was originally filed at the end of March of this year. A procedural schedule was subsequently issued, and in May, that procedural schedule was extended to allow Speed Dumpster more time to acquire legal counsel. Speed Dumpster was notified that LLCs are required to be represented by counsel for all legal proceedings before the commission, and Speed Dumpster represented that it needed more time to do so. In mid-May 2024, there are two protestants in this matter, Evergreen Disposal and Allied Waste Services. They issued data requests to Speed Dumpster mid-May. The procedural order requires that data requests are responded to within 2 weeks. Speed Dumpster did not respond to the data requests, and at the end of July 2024, the protestants appealed to the commission to require Speed Dumpster to respond to these data requests after they had worked with Speed Dumpster to try and work out an alternative response schedule. Based on that, the commission issued an order compelling Speed Dumpster to respond to those data requests no later than August 9th. The commission stated that if Speed Dumpster failed to do so, it would take protestants' arguments concerning sanctions under advisement. Speed Dumpster did submit a filing in early August, but entirely failed to respond to multiple data requests and data request question subparts. Then the commission issued Order 7945D on sanctions, which set a deadline of October 4th for Speed Dumpster to notice the appearance of licensed legal counsel. The commission gave Speed Dumpster an express warning that the matter would be dismissed without prejudice if it failed to notice the appearance of licensed legal counsel. At this point, Speed Dumpster has had over 6 months to bring in counsel to this matter and has still not corrected any of the deficiencies that have been noted with its data request responses. Based on these reasons, staff recommend that dismissal without prejudice is a fair sanction at this time, given Speed Dumpster's noncompliance with commission orders, its discovery abuses, and the resulting prejudice to protestants. At this time, I would be happy to stand for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Webster. Is there a motion? Commissioner Bokuchek?
Make a motion to approve the draft order dismissing Speed Dumpster's application without prejudice and authorize staff to issue the order with any appropriate clerical edits.
All right, is there a second? I'll second. We have motion and second. Discussion? Commissioner Bokuchek?
I followed this case closely with Ms. Webster, and I greatly appreciate her work on this matter. Dismissal without prejudice is a fair sanction for prolonged noncompliance as you talked about, including speed dumpster had greater than 6 months to obtain licensed legal counsel. And as you talked about, Montana AR 38.2.314 requires such matters to have an attorney. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Commissioner Bukacek. Additional discussion, Vice President Fielder?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple questions about, I understand that, I understand the docket and the recommendation today, and I don't really feel we have an option to oppose the recommendation here because it's obvious that there are standards and rules that are required to be met that weren't met. So I'm not trying to drive at opposing the recommendation, but I do have a few questions about the process. It seems like to me it's very difficult for a business to get started in this field in the state of Montana. And I'm wondering about the amount of data requests that were imposed upon the applicant. There were 66 data requests from the two incumbent carriers. Is that I'm wondering, were those, was that a reasonable number of data requests, or were they did it appear that they were really trying to bury this company with, questions that would be expensive and legal counsel that would be expensive? Do we have any sense of what was going on with those data requests?
President Brown, Vice President Fielder, as you mentioned, there were about 27 data requests from Evergreen Disposal and 19 from Allied Waste Services. In my experience, that is typical with what we see in Class D motor carrier cases, since the data requests are the primary opportunity for protestants to assess the applicant's fitness and ability to conduct the services throughout the area. We have multiple requirements that would be assessed at a hearing, and for those requirements, I would assess that it is a reasonable number of data responses to get to the core of the issue.
Okay, it seemed like a lot to me, but I didn't read all the data requests, so I don't know how, how narrow they were. But my next question, Mr. President, if I may, goes to the it's the administrative rule of the commission that requires the applicant to have legal counsel. Is that correct?
President Brown, Vice President Fielder, we do have an administrative rule that says any practice before the commission must be done in accordance with the rules governing the practice of law. And those rules say that anything that's typically done by an attorney constitutes the practice of law.
Yes. So it's not statute that requires the party to have a licensed attorney to represent them. It's the commission rule that requires that, correct?
President Brown, Vice President Fielder, the commission rule is specifically what applies that to these proceedings, although there are statutes governing the practice of law, and there are some statutes that make exceptions before justice court and LLC may self-represent themselves. And there's other statutes governing the practice of law, which are referenced based on that administrative rule.
Okay. And in this order, it's noted that without legal counsel, it can be an inefficient use of everybody's resources because applicants may appear and not know the rules of procedure and so forth, and not be well enough prepared to represent their case fully. Is that kind of where that seems to be driven from with our administrative rule requirement?
Vice President Fielder, I would say that's a fairly correct assessment. We do, at the commission, tend to give self-represented individuals a wide latitude for coming before the commission, because we know that most people who are making these kind of applications may not have legal backgrounds or wherewithal to hire counsel. And these rules are specifically for proceedings to be able to move forward smoothly. There are objections that need to be made, and those are legal objections. So having a legal background is very important to be able to fully respond and keep the proceedings moving. Although if an applicant was a sole proprietor, they would be entitled to represent themselves in a proceeding before the commission.
I see. So sole proprietor can represent themselves, but an LLC or a corporate incorporated company can't. Is that correct?
Vice President Fielder, that is correct. And my understanding, comes from Montana case law. The reason for that is LLCs and other business organizations have a structure such that the owner's kind of protected. So there's a layer of protection between the business entity. And because the business entity isn't the applicant themselves, the rules protect the business entity, saying that that entity needs to be represented by licensed counsel.
I'll just make a comment, Mr. President. It appears that the applicant, Mr. Sutherland, worked very hard on this for several months, and it seems to me that our process is difficult for small businesses to navigate. I know that our staff attempts to help people understand the process, and we've been patient and lenient in explaining what the applicant needs to do to satisfy the requirements. I hope that the applicant has learned from this, and I would encourage him to, learn and potentially come back with that experience in hand so he can put together a good, solid application that's defensible and has a chance to succeed. So I'd look forward to hearing his application out if he can manage to overcome those hurdles.
All right, thank you, Vice President Fielder. Additional discussion? Commissioner
Mr.
Bukacek?
President,
Hold on, Commissioner Bukacek. Commissioner O'Donnell?
yes, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify just a little bit more in that the rules of the commission may appear to be burdensome to people who are not familiar with the system, but they are solely intended to protect the rights of the applicant and the protester on this matter, and it does involve matters of legal responsibilities and privileges, and so therefore that's the reason for that. It's only to protect the rights of all the parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Commissioner Bukacek?
Well stated, Commissioner O'Donnell. And we all feel for the small business people. We all feel for the little guy, the consumers. We feel for those. But I'm grateful that we are able to give a wide latitude, but at the same time, we follow the precedent, statutes, and rules. And so that makes our job easier in some ways because we could be more objective about our decisions, or we're supposed to be more objective of our decisions. So, and I know how hard you worked, and I know how lenient you were with them. So I'm very grateful.
Additional discussion? Additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Commissioner Bukacek's motion to dismiss speed dumpsters application without prejudice and allow staff to make technical changes, signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying no. Seeing no opposition, motion carries unanimously, 5-0. All right, announcements. For those that pay attention to these things, our next commission business meeting will be in 2 weeks, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at the regularly scheduled time of 9:30. Next Tuesday's usual business meeting is canceled because we are having a hearing on Northwest Energy's application to update its QF1 tariff rates. Seeing no further business to come before the commission. Time is now 9:59 a.m. I will adjourn today's business meeting.